In this video, I'm going to help you to find the best questions to ask at the end of your interview. And I will start with the simple stuff and then gradually get into more advanced use cases. So first, easy questions to show them that you care about the interview and also maybe to make your interviewer look and feel good. These questions can be asked to anyone in your interviews, from your future boss to the hiring manager or even the bar raiser. For how long have you been with the company? How long have you been in this role? What is your favorite part of working here? What do you like best about your role? For HR professionals, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, when or why would you ask such simple questions? So for example, if your interview went well, then maybe no need to complicate things and take on risk. Or another scenario is, some interviewers, usually not the main stakeholders in the process, will prefer to run the interview with minimal effort. Asking them complex questions will unnecessarily complicate your interview. As a final tip here, don't even think about not asking them any questions, because you're most likely applying for a corporate job, and so you must adhere to the procedure of asking them some questions. Second, questions about the role. Some of you are not yet sure you'd want to join, and you genuinely want to learn more about the opportunity in order to help you decide if this role is for you. What are some projects I'd have to take on immediately? What learning and development opportunities will I have in this position? Or a PM might ask if it's a hands-on or a hands-off role. How does a typical day or week look like here? As a tip, reward your answers so they sound unique. For example, instead of asking, how does a typical day look like here, you could rephrase it this way. What would a typical day for me in this role look like? Okay, so it sounds more unique and personal too. Third, the most interesting questions for them could result from the topics that you covered during your interview. So, for example, if for half of your interview you talked about a complex deal you've closed while leading a team of 5, maybe ask them something about their teams too. How do they go about closing deals? How long is the cycle? And of course here, to the extent it's not obvious, that's private information. Or to give another example, you're a software engineer and they grilled you on some complex algorithm during the entire session. You could ask them about an interesting algorithm they've been working on for solving a complex problem for their team. Just as a tip here, some of the best questions are the ones you come up spontaneously during your interview, so it is good practice to keep your pen and paper nearby. And fourth, and this is the most interesting one for senior and executive roles in particular, prepare questions to gain insight you could eventually use to your advantage during your interviews. How does the ideal candidate for this role look like? Why would you ask such a question? Well, because there are 1 to 3 unique qualities for the ideal candidate. So if you manage to find them out, you'll be in a significantly better spot to do well in subsequent interviews and even to add clarifications on the spot. Okay? If you're even thinking the job description could contain those as well, unfortunately, this isn't how it works. Those 1 to 3 qualities are supposed to be well-guarded secrets, which only the most important stakeholders in the hiring process will be familiar with. Second question, is this a new or a replacement role? Okay, so why would you ask such a question? Well, because if it's a new role, then it likely means the company is growing, which is a good sign. Okay, if it's a replacement role, you could, for example, follow up with, why did the other person leave? Okay, and as you'd expect, this could give you some valuable insight on how to sell yourself best. Okay, and the third question here would be, do you have any doubts about my ability to do the job? I believe it's obvious on why you'd want to ask them this question. Okay, so some final remarks here. Try to read the room a little bit. What could work best given how your interview goes and how your interviewer performed? Okay, some interviewers, especially if they aren't the main stakeholders in the process, as I said in the beginning of the video, prefer minimal exchange. And if this is the case, maybe pick an easy question so you both can peacefully move on. Okay, on the other hand, if your interviewer is someone who likes taking job interviews seriously, such as a bar raiser, try to craft something interesting for them, some challenging questions, ideally questions they'll be hearing for the first time. Rapport building is important with such people. And the final scenario is here, again, if your interview went well, maybe no need to complicate your life with challenging questions, regardless who you're interviewing with. Just pick something easy, something they'll most likely enjoy answering, and then move on. Okay, so hopefully you found this information useful, and thank you very much for watching.